This is Roseburg, a state championship pregame report. And now, your host, Channel 2 Sports Director, Steve Arena.
Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to our state championship pregame report. In about a half an hour, Benson and Roseburg will square off right here on the turf at Civic Stadium to settle a score, to settle a 14-week scramble for the right to be called AAA football champions of the state of Oregon. Both schools boast powerful football programs. Thurman Bell's Indians will try to win their second state football championship this decade, while Benson has yet to make the trip to the very top of high school football. Let's first focus on Roseburg. The Indians almost made it to the top last year, falling just short to Lake Ridge, losing 24-7 in the championship game. The Indians struggled to even make it to the playoffs last year, and they had some tough times again this time around, but they finally found their magic 5 games into the season.
You know, if anybody would have told me that we were going to be where we are today, I'd have called them. I thought they were sick, sent them to a hospital.
And he's not kidding. Thurman Bell's Indians were in serious trouble early this season. You're watching Bell's crew get thumped but good, 41-7 by South Medford. The loss dropped Roseburg to 2-2, and it was time to make some quick changes.
Now, after that second loss, we felt we had to make some changes in personnel and just make ourselves respectable for the rest of the season. We were really concerned if we'd even make the playoffs. It didn't look good at that time, and we made several changes, especially with the offense, and brought in some younger kids, and they've gotten experience, but boy, we didn't know they'd get 14 games worth of experience.
The infusion of youth into Roseburg's lineup paid immediate dividends. The next week, the Indians beat Grants Pass in overtime. Through 5 games, Roseburg was finally headed in the right direction. Once they found the winning combination, there was no stopping Roseburg. The Indians rolled through the rest of the regular season and into the playoffs. There, Bell's club has gelled under pressure, beating Marshfield, second-ranked Sunset, Barlow in overtime, and Redmond. Not bad for a team almost out of it, only 4 games into the season.
Now to Benson. The Techmen weren't picked to do much of anything this year. Even when they skated through their regular season unbeaten in 9 games, nobody really seemed to take notice. But then eyes began to open, and the name Benson began to mean something to the opponents as the playoffs progressed from week to week. Benson was facing the best in the playoffs and was in this 4-game postseason stretch that Benson football came of age.
After surviving against Springfield in the first round, Benson traveled to North Salem. It's this game that seemed to prove the Techmen were for real. Tony Robertson scored 3 touchdowns as Benson walked all over the Vikings, 33-13. Their season was still alive, and it was gaining momentum. Next up, a showdown with #1 ranked and unbeaten South Medford. Again, Benson doesn't back down. The underdog Techmen let it all hang out, building a 12-0 lead and holding on for the major shocker of the year. The Techmen, not even ranked in the top 10, stunned the team many thought would win it all. 12-7 the final. Benson roars into the semis against Gresham. It was a classic matchup between 2 unbeaten teams, and they both put on a great show. Benson established early the key to this ball game, a hard-hitting, enthusiastic defense. A defense that, in the end, would make the difference. The Techmen jumped out to a 14-0 lead. Gresham battled back the tie. But it's this catch and run by Tony Robertson that shoots Benson into the state championship game. It's a team that just doesn't quit, that doesn't believe it can be beaten. A team that may have bad practice habits at times, but a team that performs when the time is right.
They're not model practice players, but boy, they come to the party when game time comes.
So there you have it. 2 teams which took different roads to today's championship game, but 2 teams extremely focused on the job at hand. When you watch Benson and Roseburg square off today, you'll notice 2 different styles from 2 extremely well-coached teams.
We'll begin with similarities, and there are few. You can say both Benson and Roseburg are emotional teams. It's a consistent emotion throughout the game. Emotion that creates the big plays. But the biggest similarity is the fact both teams have been underdogs all year.
They're a lot like us. They shouldn't be here either, probably. You know, they were the #3 team out of their league, and it's a tough league and so on, but usually your number 3 team in your league doesn't play for the championship.
But Roseburg uses its slow start, fast finish season to its advantage. The Indians are playing their best football of the year, and just at the right time. Offensively, Roseburg thrives on the option. They're a power team with a focus on the run. Pokey Fugate keys the offense at quarterback. A broken collarbone kept him out the first 3 games, but when he returned and got his feet wet, the offense began to click. Gaining the big yards on the ground is Greg Fogel. He was one of the big changes early in Roseburg's season. He didn't start until the 4th game, but when he did, he logged some 1,200 yards rushing, including 2 200-yard games. And most important, he gained some much-needed experience. You see, Fogel is just a sophomore who played junior high school ball last year.
In the early stages, I didn't have any idea I'd be here. I had no idea, and I just as it went on, then I knew deep down that I could do it. And 200 yards, I couldn't have done it without the line. You know, it's real nice to be here though as a sophomore.
Fogel and his teammates will line up against a Benson defense that seems to be getting better each week. The Techmen thrive on enthusiasm and gang tackling. They treat each play as a game winner. The confidence has been building with each win, but the confidence has its limits.
The only thing that would hurt us is if we go in with our heads, you know, screwed on backwards, and we go in feeling that we've already got the game won before we get on the field. If we just go out and plan to finish the job that we started 16 weeks ago, I feel that we'll do a good job.
It's no secret Benson's team speed scares the living daylights out of Roseburg. Benson can run with power and finesse, and quarterback Joe Bushman can light it up through the airwaves. But when you get down to the bottom line, the matchup on both sides of the ball looks pretty even. It just may come down to who wants it the most.
You know, we've been there before. We just got to go do it this year. You know, last year we were there, and we know what it's all about. We know what it's like. We just got to go get it done this year.
Junior Richard Norwood on our team, you know, he said this to our team, and it's a quote. He said, we don't want to just reach out and touch it, but we want to grasp it and hold it and cherish it. And that's what we're all going to try to do this weekend.
And there's much more ahead on our pregame report. Coming up next, a close-up look at the man who's behind this Roseburg machine, head coach Thurman Bell. And it has been a while since the PIL has enjoyed a football champion. We'll take you back to the last city team to win it all. Our Benson Roseburg pregame report continues after a quick break. Behind every championship team is a great coach. For Roseburg, it's Thurman Bell. Bell has proven his ability. Since 1977, only one Roseburg team has failed to make the playoffs. This is Bell's 4th championship game in 12 years. He knows what it takes to win it all, and he'll give every ounce of his energy so his players can enjoy what they're about to experience. Bob Akamian takes a close-up look at Roseburg's leader.
I want 60! 60! 60! 60!
Sometimes I overdo it. I don't know how long I'm going to last in this business unless I can learn to slow myself down a little bit. But I'm still a kid. I'll probably be a kid until I'm 60, I guess. I don't know what else I could do. I couldn't make a living doing anything else. I can guarantee you doing that.
No! Everybody in the ballpark saw that! I'm the only one that can make the opinion. And you made the wrong opinion!
I've never had a coach like that. I mean, I've never seen anybody spend as much time as he has with us and, you know, working on the films and on everything, spending as much time. I've never seen a person do it.
Thurman Bell is a coaching legend in the Oregon prep ranks. This is his 18th season at RHS. He's taken 4 teams to the state championship game, and he's brought home the big trophy once. That was in 1981.
The Bell record, 129 wins, 59 losses. 17 straight winning seasons, 9 straight playoff appearances, and a whole lot of tradition. That's what makes Roseburg football go. That and Bell's seemingly endless energy.
It doesn't take me very much to get ready. I'm an emotional sort and maybe a little bit high-strung. But I get the old stomach going just like I'm putting on headgear and going out to play. And I I can't fake with our kids out there. I talk and I say what I feel. If I'm not excited and ready to go, then I can't fake it and get them excited.
When he gives us a pep talk, he really gets into it, and you had a look in his eye. He gets really intense, and his lip starts quivering, and he gets into it, and he's a real good coach, and he picks the team up by his little talks. All the coaches are like that. We have a great coaching staff.
You could see that energy even through his frustration in 1978. The Indians shattered after losing a close title game to Corvallis in Parker Stadium. But that same energy produced a championship in 1981. In a driving rainstorm at Civic Stadium, perhaps the best Roseburg team ever destroyed Lebanon 22-0 for the title. RHS held the Warriors to just 1 first down and minus 52 yards of offense.
Our defense was unbelievable, like it has been all year. We had a great game plan, and boy, we hit and hit and hit.
That has always been the Roseburg formula under Thurman Bell. Defense and a relentless running game. They call it old-time 1940s football, but it still wins games, and today it might just win another title. For the state championship pregame show, I'm Bob Akamian.
Meanwhile, Bell's counterpart today is still looking for his first state football championship, but it's not that Bill Dressel hasn't come close. In 1986, his Techmen made it all the way to the Final Four. And last year, they were going strong before being knocked out of the quarterfinals. That setback was courtesy of Roseburg. But the big story surrounding Benson and all of the PIL is the fact that no city team has won the state football championship since the 1958 Jefferson Democrats. And oh, that team was loaded with talent. Ron Carlson looks at the last PIL state football champions.
It was the good old days for the PIL. 1958. For the second year in a row, the undefeated Jefferson Democrats were playing for the state football title.
The most awesome thing in looking back is that my senior year, we averaged about a point a minute. And we kind of annihilated teams.
The media was suggesting Jefferson was the best prep team of all time, and no wonder. Just look at the backfield. Eventual Heisman Trophy winner Terry Baker at quarterback, and behind him, Ray and Mel Renfro. Mel went on to play 14 years in the NFL.
You know, we had guys on our second and third team that could start for other teams, other high school teams, and it was kind of out of balance, but we were blessed.
But back then, the PIL required each team to cut down to 33 players at playoff time, a decision Coach DeSilvia avoided with a creative play call at halftime.
What I did, and there were SAA might frown on this, I'd suit up the whole team the first half, and then the other kids would suit up the second. So we got them all. Yeah.
You had him waiting in the locker room?
Yeah, we just switched.
But DeSilvia went with his best players when the Medford Black Tornadoes came to town for the state title game, because running against Medford was like facing 11 Tasmanian Devils.
The Medford Black Tornadoes were the toughest. You know, they didn't have any black guys on their team, but they were tough. And actually, the coach said, we didn't come up to beat you, we came up to hurt you and battle you.
But with Ray Renfro scoring 1 touchdown and Baker passing and running for 2 more, the Democrats won their second straight state football title 21-7 to complete their second straight undefeated season.
That was a highlight of my coaching career.
It was quite a golden era that we had there at Jefferson when I was there, and a lot of things fell into place together, and we all enjoyed it together, and it's fun memories now.
The greatest 4 years of my life was the 4 years I spent at Jeff, playing football under Tom and being with kids growing up in the old Jefferson neighborhood.
But things haven't been the same for Jefferson or the PIL since. Maybe the post-game celebration was a sign of things to come. The fans just couldn't bring down the goalposts. I guess they finally figured we'll knock them down next year. It's been 30 years since that win, though, and this afternoon the Benson Techmen are hoping to give PIL fans a chance to finally bring those goalposts down. For the state championship pregame report, this is Ron Carlson.
Keep in mind, you had to win just 3 games back in 1958 to claim the state title. Even so, Jefferson still racked up 100 points in that short playoff format. And when we come back, we'll take a look at both schools and one of the underlying themes in today's ball game. Our Benson-Roseburg pregame report continues after a commercial timeout. welcome back to our pregame report. Both schools insist there's nothing more to this game other than wanting to put on a great show and, of course, winning. But when you talk about the Benson-Roseburg rivalry, the quarterfinal showdown last year in Roseburg comes up in the conversation. At the time, it was an unpleasant story. But 1 year later, both schools have worked hard to make good out of a potentially volatile situation.
It was a foggy night in Roseburg. The Indians and Techman knocking heads for a trip to the state semifinals. On the field, a great game with Roseburg holding on to a 21-19 win. But off the field, accusations of racism, of Roseburg fans shouting racial slurs, and Benson fans being mistreated.
There were some statements made to our players and the fans that were down there that shouldn't have been made in terms of racial things, and they addressed that. It's been going on for a long time throughout Oregon, and you know, it can go on in Portland just as well.
But this incident focused negative attention on the town of Roseburg. 1 year later, townspeople are still worried about how their community is portrayed. Dan Bain has been the voice of Roseburg football for 11 years.
I don't think anybody denied that something like that could have happened here. I mean, everybody here knows that it can happen in any city in America, any place in the world for that matter. But what they took offense to was the fact that if one person yelled a racial remark, the entire city was branded, and they felt that was totally unfair, and I have to agree with that.
Both schools insist the incident is behind them now, and in no way will it carry over to today's game. In fact, some pregame festivities took place to show the two sides are emphasizing friendship.
We're having a breakfast together. Some of the boosters from their school are coming up, and they're bringing their cheerleaders and some of their student leaders, and we're going to have our cheerleaders at the breakfast and all those kinds of things, just starting out to show what true hosting can be, and that there's no hard feelings. We want to see a real good game on the field.
And that brings us to the two individual schools being showcased in today's championship game. The town of Roseburg thrives on high school sports, and with just one high school in town, most of the attention is focused on the preps. But Benson, on the other hand, shares the limelight with dozens of other schools and thousands of other students in the local area. But the one common thread between Benson and Roseburg is education, and a first-class program to teach and prepare high school students.
We have about 34% girls, about 34% minority. Kids come here for a vocational education primarily. I think some of them come to play football. You know, whenever you have winning teams, some of the kids come for the wrong reason about school, but as long as they produce in the curriculum, that's important.
This is Bob Akamian. Benson High School is as diverse as the city of Portland. This is not a neighborhood school. All of the 1,600 students had to be selected from a large group of applicants. In fact, 1 out of 5 8th graders from the entire Portland area will apply to Benson this year.
It's a school of tradition and pride, and you know, a lot of our kids go on to college and go to Oregon State and do very well, become architects. Some of them, we have a health careers program here. Kids go on and become doctors and so forth.
That's quite an evolution from a trade school for bad boys that needed to learn a skill. Benson now offers a full range of vocational and technical programs to boys and girls. Everything from high-tech computer design to automotive repair. Benson's athletic history centers on basketball. A.C. Green and Richard Washington went on to NBA careers, and Coach Dick Gray is one of the deans of the Oregon prep ranks.
This is indeed Roseburg Indian territory. Roseburg is the classic small town with one big high school, and many of the social events in the town revolve around the athletic teams here, in particular the football team. And the success of the football team always seems to reflect directly upon the town.
It's an awfully good school, Bob. We're very proud of our academic program. We're proud of our other activities that take place here. It's a one high school community, and consequently there's emphasis on all the activities that take place here, you know, not just the football.
Roseburg High School is all things to the young people of this community. It has produced a Rhodes Scholar and a network news correspondent, as well as the merchant on Main Street and the timber worker who supports the economy here. The alums come back to support their school's athletic programs in droves, and student turnouts are high for just about every sport. They are also So used to winning here, so the town will not exactly be shut down this afternoon while the Indians do battle on the field.
But you might be a little surprised. It isn't, you know, you won't see the town on fire this week about the ball game and so on and so forth. There are pockets of interest, and there are people that are very excited about it. And we've been in them before, so it's not a novelty.
For the championship pregame show, I'm Bob Akamian.
Two great schools competing for high school football's biggest prize. We'll be back with some closing comments in 2 minutes.
Stereo Superstores. The experience is overwhelming.
They told us their stories of being Wednesday's children. Now some of them have found permanent families. Channel 2 News salutes those people who have opened up their hearts and homes to these very special children.
The spirit of the Northwest, it's alive on Channel 2. Celebrate the spirit of the Northwest on K-18.
On the next USA Today, he's had his day before Congress.
I was authorized to do everything that I did. People used to walk up to me and tell me what a great job I was doing.
Now, before he faces his day in court, should Oliver North be pardoned? Plus, 30-something tries again.
Since we won the Emmy, it's sort of like, you know, the Lakers trying to win the title again, you know.
The struggle to keep TV's Emmy winner going on the next USA Today.
Monday following football on KATU.
So the stage is set to see which team will rule high school football for 1988. Will Roseburg win its second state championship in 7 years, or will Benson continue its miraculous season, finally bringing home a football championship for the PIL? Roseburg boasts a power game. They want to run the football. They want to control the ball on the ground. Benson, on the other hand, can beat you several ways. They have tremendous speed and quickness. They can beat you on the ground or through the air. And when it comes to defense, they can knock you down. Benson at 13-0 and Roseburg at 11-2. It should be a good one, folks. Join Ron Carlson, Bob Akamian, and me next for all the action live from Civic Stadium. I'm Steve Arena. Enjoy the ball game.
You've been watching the Benson Roseburg pregame report, a Channel 2 sports presentation. Join State High School Football Championship. The Benson Techmen versus the Roseburg Indians. Today's championship game is being brought to you by your Western Pacific Jeep Eagle dealers and U.S. Bank, sole sponsor of the 1988 OSAA High School Football Championships. And now, for Channel 2 Sports, Ron Carlson and Steve Arena.
Hello once again.